welcome to another episode of the Coffee and Podcast. We are on a quest to cultivate freedom for victims of human trafficking, all while drinking some really good specialty coffee. I'm your host, Philip Klayman. I'm also one of the co-founders of Three Tree Coffee in Statesboro, Georgia. Today, we're going to be continuing a topic that we started all the way back in June about convenience in coffee. If you didn't see that episode 43, we talked about instant coffee and the role that it can play in convenience and bringing specialty coffee to more people. But this week, we're going to turn our attention to a driving force of convenience in coffee really over the past decade. I've seen it grow a ton, and that's ready-to-drink products or RTD products, specifically canned coffee. Joining us today will be Jake Anderson, who's the Director of Business Development at Arete Beverages, which develops a wide array of canned beverages, and their specialty is in canned coffee. Jake, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Philip, thanks for having me.
Well, I know you and I have had many conversations. We've talked on the phone numerous times. You've been an awesome partner and supplier for us at Three Tree, and so I'm really excited to have you on. Let's just start with, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, let's see. As you already said, I'm the Director of Sales and Product Development here. There's a small team of us here, and we all wear multiple hats. I am simultaneously the one who is reaching out to you, taking your orders, but also developing your products alongside of you. I have a background in coffee. I've been almost 25 years in coffee. I started in college, freshman year of college, in a coffee shop, and I loved it and kind of moved on and then came back to it after college. So I'm a long-time coffee nerd.
Wow. And you're in Wisconsin now. Have you always been in that area with specialty coffee, or have you moved all around with it?
I've been around a little bit. So I have an undergrad in psychology, and when I came out of college and was looking for a quote unquote real job and realized I needed a master's and wasn't quite ready for that at the time. And so in the meantime, I was working several restaurant jobs. I was working in a coffee shop, and this was all in Minneapolis. And so the coffee shop was Caribou Coffee, and I was falling in love with it. And so early on, maybe a couple months in of being a barista and a shift supervisor, I was able to get a meeting with the head coffee sourcing person of Caribou Coffee. And so him and I met. His name is Chad Trevick, and he's a huge advocate for sustainability and transparency in specialty coffee to this day. Him and I talked for about an hour and a half, and I left there and said, that's what I want to do. I want to be a coffee sourcing. I want to be in coffee for my career. And so, as it has it, there was no job available at that time working for him or anywhere near that space. So I really had to make up my mind to work towards that moment, that opportunity. And so I worked up within the coffee shop, like I said, barista, shift supervisor, store manager, and then eventually I got a role as a production roaster at Caribou Coffee in their headquarters, which was not far from where I lived. I spent 4.5 years in that role as a production roaster before an opportunity opened up underneath Chad and his team as a green coffee quality person, and then into green coffee sourcing at Caribou. So I spent 10 years of time at Caribou Coffee, growing up in coffee there at Caribou, really learning so much fundamental stuff. Was able to be Roasters Guild Executive Council through that time, exposure to travel to Central America, SCA, all those things. So really, really informative in my life. And yeah, that was really the start of coffee for me. I left there after about 10 years, and I spent 2 years at Target, also headquartered in Minneapolis, where I was sourcing produce for their grocery stores. And then I was pulled here back to eastern Wisconsin. I grew up in north central Wisconsin. I pulled here to eastern Wisconsin, where I worked for a large single-serve cup manufacturer, a single-serve coffee cup manufacturer, where we were part of an incredible growth story where I was less than the 100th employee at the company, probably closer to 50 or 70, and we ballooned up to over 1,000 employees in a year and a half. So it was just insane. And they ended up being director of R&D there. So that's really been a lot of my coffee experience. That was over 8 years, and I've done a few other things in between, but that led me to my friend Brian, and Arete, and that's where we are now.
So you have worn numerous hats in the coffee
Yeah,
industry.
yeah,
And I find that like different personalities tend to be better suited for different roles because there's so many different roles that need to be played. And
yeah,
some people really come alive with those customer interactions. Some people, that's a little more taxing for them. They can do it, but they
yeah,
really want to hone in on dialing in the espresso and or crafting a specialty drink. And others who want to be in the back end roasting. Was there a
yeah.
certain element that you really felt like made you come alive, like this component of specialty coffee?
Man, I loved sourcing. I loved the romance of sourcing coffee, and that's what sort of motivated me. The reality of sourcing coffee is drastically different than the romance. There's a lot of responsibility, and certainly Chad Trevick, as sort of my mentor still to this day, there's a lot of responsibility with sourcing coffee, and that's very important to me and continues to be. But that was a huge motivator for me. But beyond that, I think you know from our conversations together that I like these sort of conversations. Being in sales is sort of a natural fit, especially here at Arte, where we have an incredible product, and it's not really sales. It's like, hey, Philip, here's what we have. I want to get it in your hands so you can taste it, and you tell me if it works for you or not. But it's hardly sales; it's just having conversations, and so I love that part of it.
Yeah. And then I'm fascinated to hear you kind of went into the single serve side of things for a brief while. So convenience has kind of been on your radar professionally. I mean, even a Target stint in there. So I guess what turned your attention maybe from the roasting barista side to
Mhm.
other things and maybe even really driving more convenience, especially now with Arete?
Yeah, I think, how would I frame this? I think there's not a very clear path from barista, store manager, to a long-term career in coffee. Obviously, have found a path through the starting of Three Tree, but there's really unclear pathways within the coffee industry. And so I think in life you take these leaps and you take these opportunities to learn something new. And I think if anything, it's been led by a thought process of what has my past experience prepared me for, and how does that serve me in future experiences, and what can I add to organization that gives me the opportunities to provide for my family and build sort of the life that I want. So it's less principled and say I love specialty coffee, and it's just because you love it, sometimes it's difficult to create a path forward. And so I've taken some adventurous side trips here and there, but here at Arete, this is, I really feel, a culmination of all those opportunities, the professional development or the fundamental development at Caribou Coffee, the professional development and being honed and experienced in that at a place like Target, where there's 20,000 people in two buildings right next to each other, just a massive, massive place, and the speed and innovation that I was part of at the Single Serve Cup company. So it's all those things that lead me to here and now with you, and to be able to use that to serve coffee roasters and cafes like Three Tree. Yeah, so that makes me so excited, and it keeps me motivated.
And I also noticed like there's definitely a component of entrepreneurial in terms of the
Mm,
two startups in your past two stints of careers.
yeah.
And one of them seemed very successful and took off. This one seems
Hmm.
to be going well with Arete. We'll get more into
Yeah.
that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, describe, you are looking for the perfect coffee experience. This is for you. What beverage are you drinking and where are you drinking it? Are you in the mountains? Are you at the beach? Are you in a cafe? What's your just peak coffee drinking experience?
I'm right here talking to you, Phil. That's peak coffee experience.
Right now, look at that, drinking
Mhm.
a Three Tree Sun Chaser. Love it.
So good, so good. Let's see. I love a Chemex, and my daily routine is a nice brewer like the fellow Aiden. I have that at home, and I just love the convenience of it, and it's perfect coffee every single time. But on the weekends, I love to brew a Chemex. I have every brewing contraption there is, but I always come back to the Chemex as a nice, clean cup of specialty coffee. And sitting on the couch with my wife and just getting caught up on the day and what's going to happen, and just having that time. That for me is a perfect cup of coffee, no matter what it is.
I love it. Sometimes it's the simple things that are the most
Yeah,
powerful things, right?
yeah,
Sitting with my wife, drinking a cup of coffee. It's
yeah.
funny you mentioned the fellow Aiden because I have one, and it really,
Mm.
we actually want to do a future convenience and coffee episode all about home brewing equipment and a lot of the technology improvements there. Boy, the Aiden, really is stunning. I have been blown away.
It's
So, I mean,
incredible.
free shout out to Fellow. And they do so many, everything they touch seems to be phenomenal. But the
Yeah,
Aiden is fantastic. So I love to hear that other people are experiencing that as well.
yeah, incredible.
So now let's get a little bit more into Arete. What's the story behind that? When did y'all start? And, what do you really focus on? What do you do?
Let's see. So we started just back in November. Some of us had experience at a previous canning site, but we started in November, and it's really been a path of making some hard calls, making some cold calls, cold emails, and getting out there in front of people. And but the crux of it is uh, trying to brew coffee as perfect as possible. We have a hot brew process of brewing coffee. We brew to SCA specifications. It's a 16-to-1 ratio. We use formulated water with third wave water minerals. So we brew the coffee as perfect as we can. And that hot brew coffee creates a coffee beverage that is just familiar, and it sounds obvious and silly, but the world of ready to drink coffee has been dominated by, in my opinion, has been dominated by extracted cold brew, sometimes not cold brew, sometimes yes, sometimes really over extracted for value sake, those sorts of things, right? So we really wanted to create a super simplified process that it just gets to the core of sound coffee brewing principles. So we start with that. From there, we flash chill the coffee. We put it on nitrogen so it stays fresh, and we get it in the can as soon as possible. And that's as simple as the process is. We are a tunnel pasteurizer, and really the goal again is to serve specialty coffee roasters first and foremost is our core customer base, serve them with a great product that is approachable to them as a small business, and also approachable to their customers as just really great coffee, unquestionably great coffee.
Well, and we've noticed that difference. So
Hmm.
for our listeners, we have been working with Arete for, I guess it's really since y'all kind of started up. And it's been incredible. We tasted coffee from numerous different co-packers, and there is a noticeable, very noticeable difference of the quality and the flavor. And I imagine some of it has to do with brewing it hot. I'm by no means a scientist.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's something about molecules and hot molecules moving fast for better extraction. Something I've heard things like this before, that hot
Sure.
water will extract certain flavors and compounds that you're just not going to get with cold extraction. So
Yeah.
I imagine some of this quality that we taste and perceive through Arte is because of brewing it hot and then
Hmm.
making it cold. Is there
Yeah.
something else? I mean, you mentioned some pasteurization techniques. I'm sure that's more about shelf sustainability, but anything else you want to add of what makes it so good?
I mean, my being here reinforces what I've sort of always felt about cold brew coffee is when I've been in places where I have the world is my oyster and I have any coffee at my disposal, and I've tried to make cold brew over the years. For me, it's always sort of felt like a great equalizer. No matter what coffee I put in there, you definitely get differences if you put a dark Sumatra versus a light roast Kenya. A cold brew is going to be different, but in a sense, it's sort of a great equalizer. It really, I sort of see it in a sound wave where a cold brew is just little waves in my experience, whereas our hot brew and flash chilled process creates these big waves of flavor. So you get the peace, you get the nuanced notes that everybody in especially coffee space is working so hard to source for and to roast to perfection for. The hot brew, I feel, captures some of those things. It's a little bit like the vinyl record versus digital sort of argument where people would say vinyl records, you get that whole wave of the sound experience. And I don't think, from my perspective, it's much different from that. And cold brew for me would be the digital cutoffs of the tops and bottoms of that flavor wave, for lack of better.
I've never heard it explained like that. I love that. Do you have a music background?
I play casually, but no, I do not have a music background. I love
Nice.
music though. Yeah.
Well, I love the analogy to sound waves. I think that's a great way to describe it because I agree. I mean, in my experience, that resonates in terms of I've had lots of different cold brews and it's good. It has its place, but
Mm-hmm.
it isn't going to really shine some of these nuanced differences, especially when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to acidity in coffee, which in
Yeah.
specialty coffee is really prized for, to achieve good acidity. Okay, so then about how much are y'all producing every month? Is it, how many cans, or is it just cans? How much do y'all produce right now?
Yeah, we only produce cans. We do an 8-ounce can or a couple of 12-ounce can styles. And as far as what we produce, we are doing thousands and thousands of cans every day. But right now, a lot of our customers are seeking the smaller volumes because that's what really is supporting their business. And so as we're new, we're able to onboard coffee roasters who are new to the space as well. So, for example, some other manufacturers of ready to drink coffee out there are established huge places, and thus their minimums are huge. And oftentimes, like a truckload would be a minimum of cans or bottles or whatever. And so we tend to do a lot of small batches of coffee, but that fits how we're built. That's what we're built for. So the volume is not monstrous as some other facilities, but we're really focused on crafting each batch by hand.
So this
Yeah.
must be a very large warehouse. I mean, is it multiple warehouses, or is it one big warehouse, or?
It's I would call it a medium size space. It's about 20,000 square feet. It's not huge. It's just a super simple um, um, process. I mean, there's not a ton to it. It's just good sort of husbandry of the product of the coffee as it goes through. And I think the 2.5 million capacity, that's really aspirational. Like we have that, it's there, but we're really focused on the here and now and make sure that we're taking care of every single roaster as they come through.
That's evident. We can see that for sure
Mm.
in our experience with y'all. Now, let's talk cans real quick. And
Hmm.
we've had to do some of our own as we've looked at ready to drink products over the years. We've had to compare cans versus glass versus
Yeah.
plastic and these different things. And you only, at Arete, you only do cans. So, help me and the listeners understand some of those comparing and contrasting. Why do you just use cans? And do you consider that a superior one and you
Mm.
will have others? Or is it just, no, this is what we have right
Cans are sort of a tool of efficiency, but also they really, really lend to the customizability and the specialization that we can serve to you as the coffee roaster. So plastic bottles, either here nor there. For us, glass oftentimes has a sort of a premium aesthetic to some, and we're in a premium space with certainly with customers like you, Philip. But glass has some drawbacks from handling and all those, from shipping. It's very heavy to ship, things like that. So just to sort of stay hyper focused and hyper vigilant on what we're doing, cans are a great product. So to go back to, they're customizable. So we get in pallets of what are called bright cans, which are just the silver unlabeled cans. And so you can create your own custom label, and we can put that on post processing. And it is just a super simple process. And then aluminum is recyclable. Like, it's just a good vessel for good quality products. And then the quality of that can for shelf stability is superior. It's just a really great product from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the shipping of the glass, because we were exploring doing something like this years ago, and we were
Mm.
looking at glass because it does feel premium, and right.
Hmm.
And I remember it was the shipping, like the
Yeah.
weight of the glass.
Yeah.
Just the shipping became astronomical, and for us as a smaller business, we just couldn't do it. And so
Right.
that's fascinating to hear. I forgot about that until you mentioned it, but we've even experienced that with glass. They all
Yeah.
have their various purposes, but I agree the can seems to be a really great medium and vessel to utilize.
Yeah, and we have ability to customize the labels. Of course, there's adhesive labels. There's like a shrink wrap label, and there's a digital print label that you can have on the cans. And we have three can sizes: 8-ounce, 12-ounce sleek, which is this taller, thinner one, and then a standard 12-ounce can. So within those options, there's quite a bit of opportunity to really make it feel like it's yours. And so there's enough there. There's a lot to work with there. So it's just fitting from beginning to end.
Now, one thing I've noticed with Arete and with you, this is a huge compliment, because it really is amazing to do the volume you do with the customizability in which you do it
Mm.
in. And you just
Hmm.
mentioned your own label, and you can customize it. And that's even a feature of the can and why you're using the
Yeah.
can. we've come to you with first just saying what do you do and what can you do, and you gave us some options, but then kind of there was some back and forth, and there was let's try this, let's try that, let's change the ratio, and we ultimately landed on a coffee lemonade product that was
Mm-hmm.
it sure did feel custom made for us. It may be a little bit more generic in things that you offered other people, and I know you
Mm-hmm.
have offered this to some other people, but you really worked with us to hone it in to a very specific flavor that we wanted with a specific coffee,
Yeah.
and we were blown away by that. I imagine
Hmm.
as a business owner that is very time consuming. And I guess I just wonder, do you frequently put a lot of this customizability effort into a product to then not see it go through? How often does that happen? And how do you handle
Um,
moments like that?
I would say it, I mean, it happens. It's like we come to you, quite honestly, right? We reached out to you and said, explore with us and see what the possibilities are. And so it would be a very difficult place to start if we started the conversation with that and then followed with, no, no, here's the items, take them and leave them, right? So it's like, it's just how we're built. And we know that you spend all this time and attention building your brand, in which you've done an incredible job. Everything that you do, that you see, um, says Three Tree through and through. Right? And to do anything other than kind of have this push and pull and come to something that you're 1,000% happy with, to do anything other than that doesn't make sense. Whether you're there in Georgia or somebody in Utah or California or Massachusetts, everybody feels that way about their brand, their company, and that's how it should be. That's the passion that we want to be a part of. If it's a network of like-minded individuals, and that makes the work really easy, and it also makes it really easy to say, well, we tried, and we've sort of exhausted our options, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, or if it doesn't work till next year, because for some people having their own ready to drink is a huge leap, right? And so I really enjoy, as cliche as it sounds, I really enjoy the process. I love having those conversations with you. I love receiving in the Columbia collab coffee that you sent for this and being like, how incredible it was, and having the thought, ooh, I'm not sure how it's going to go with the lemonade, and then putting them together and having it be in a truly extraordinary beverage, like the way this coffee that you sent melds and changes into something. It's like the sum of the parts or the sum of the whole is way greater than the parts of this beverage, and it's shocking to me. And so all of those upside things make up for all the little bit of downside that there is occasionally, but it's just a fun process.
Well, that's great. And I guess that's why you're in sales, right? That passion for connecting with people and seeing their needs and trying to
Yeah.
find the match. And I am curious, like what's the craziest, if you take
Mm.
in a way, requests from people, what's like the craziest request you've ever received for some canned beverage?
Well, I'm trying to think. There was like an orange creamsicle one. There's been a few. There's chocolate and oh, I feel like maybe I shouldn't say in case somebody watches this and be like, oh, you called out my beverage. There, you know, there hasn't been anything super, super wild. It is the beauty of being on this side of it. I like to explore. I worked on this lemonade formula, this recipe for this, just out of my own sheer interest of like, oh, what else can we do? So nothing too much shocks me, and we'll try anything to see if there's a there, so to speak. And but yeah, most people are coming to us with some pretty delicious ideas.
Yeah, there was one you sent, and I won't share all the ingredients in case it is something that
Hmm.
other people have. And it wasn't even to offer, do you want this or not? I think it was more so just to show we can do whatever you want. But one of the ingredients was molasses, and we
Oh,
loved it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
We loved it. It was so good. I won't share anything else about it in case it's out there in production by someone else, but just goes to show once again, just that customizability and just super fun to see that. Let's kind of round this episode out with coming back to convenience and coffee. And
Mm.
I'm especially glad that we're talking on this because I did not realize that you'd worked in single serve for a little bit. This seems to be such a focus, and there's even this argument. I don't know what wave we're on with specialty coffee,
Yeah,
4, 5, 6. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
I've heard a wave of specialty coffee
yeah.
is bring it back to the people, right? Like it almost
Hmm.
became so centralized and prestigious that it
Hmm.
almost maybe shoved some people out, right? Like
Yeah.
only this is specialty coffee, which there does need to be clear parameters on what does that mean, and quality is a huge focus of that. Transparency is a big focus of that. But convenience in specialty coffee seems to be trying to draw it back to how can we give this passion and this experience and in a way these morals, right, caring where you buy your things,
Yeah.
to more people in a way that is ethical and makes sense. So, with convenience and coffee, what have you seen change over your time, your decades of working in coffee? Have you seen a big shift towards this? Have you not? And kind of what's your take on the place of convenience when it comes to specialty coffee?
It really has morphed in so many different ways. I think the average consumer would love to come on board and buy into your vision of specialty coffee, right? But everybody has a lot going on. And even me as a coffee nerd, is difficult for me to get outside the bounds of my life and get to a coffee shop and have a cup of coffee, right? As much as when I'm there, I'm like, oh, I love this. I should be doing this more often. So I think convenience is really the key to grow your business because people want it. It's really like the old adage thing is like you just have to get in front of people and they'll buy it. And so I think it's changed in that convenience sometimes is the opposite of quality. And with specialty coffee, it doesn't have to be the opposite of quality. I think the more we mature in this space of convenience, the more we can hone what that means.
And it seems like there's maybe even a premium to that to some degree, right? I
Hmm.
mean, so we have the Sun Chaser beverage. I'm gonna give it a little show. You've already shown it a couple times here. This is our new coffee lemonade coffee. Wow, that's a lot of saying coffee over and over. Our coffee lemonade through Arete, and it's you could probably find cheaper canned coffee lemonade, but it's not going to taste as good. And do you know where it's coming from, right? And even then, it seems like there's enough accessibility where it's not that much of a premium like maybe it used to be.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so it is fascinating just to see some of those shifts. But I've seen the shifts on the consumer side as well. 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have said, I don't know what of our customers would really want something like this. They are
Hmm.
either coming for the coffee shop experience or they'll go get cheaper coffee somewhere else, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just that's most people, not all of them, but most. And more, we really are having people say, how can I do this at home? How can I do this on vacation? How can I have this
Hmm.
experience elsewhere? And it's not just the experience of the coffee shop, it's the experience of the beverage,
Yeah.
which is super neat because I think for us, that's kind of a little passion, a side mission,
Yeah.
right? We would love for people to really appreciate just the coffee itself even more and more and more, and that being representative of numerous hands being a part of this process. And so it's just fascinating to see some of those shifts. And y'all are doing amazing work at Arete to see
Mm.
that through and to really be a place for that in this industry. So my last question to you is, what's next for Arete? I know you're not doing 2.5 million right now, but it seems like that's
No,
some
no.
part of the next. But what else? I mean, anything else you want to share of what's next for this organization?
Well, we're so early on in this venture that really our goal is to continue to find more like-minded individuals to work with, more like-minded companies to continue to serve your company and to support you in any way that is needed, and just to continue to put delicious things out in the world. We have the luxury of getting this incredible coffee that you source, that you roast and come to us. I mean, if we can just continue this journey of helping you expand and others like you expand your brand, expand what you're doing, which raises the ship of specialty coffee as a whole, broadens what it means to be specialty coffee and your access to these types of things. That's our goal, and it's pretty simple. And I would like to continue to come to work and enjoy what I'm doing. It's pretty simple.
All right. So if there's other people who are listening that maybe want to get their own canned beverages, other roasters or things like that, how can people learn more about Arete?
Yeah, we have a website. It's aretebev.com, aretebeverage.com. I can share my email here if you like, but I love to talk with people. We can have a brief 10-15 minute conversation where I can give a rundown of what we do. This podcast is going to be super helpful for people to kind of understand if there's something they would be interested in. But as I said towards the beginning, it's like contact me. Let's get some coffee through the process. And it's easy, it's free, it's quick, and it's like if you love it, great, let's talk. If not, that's okay too. But it's like just have some options. have some arrows in your quiver, and I am happy to talk with anybody at any time.
Great. And we'll put a link to that website in the show description. Jake, this was awesome. I know we've had many conversations. I've always
Yeah.
appreciated the conversation, and I especially appreciate the conversation today. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining.
Thank you, Philip. I'm super thrilled to be here, and job well done with your business, with your Sun Chaser, and I wish continued good luck for you and all of yours.
Thank you so much. And on that note, to our listeners, got to give the shout out. I know we've talked about it, but listen, this product was honestly like maybe even a year in the making. I mean, it's most of it came towards the final stretch, but we have been planning on something like this, wanting something like this for some time. And if you were to see the first design compared to the last design, if you were to taste the first rendition compared to the last rendition, so much hard work went into this product, Sun Chaser, our coffee lemonade. Listeners, give it a try. You can find it in our shops. You can order it online. It's shelf stable outside of the fridge, so we can ship it all over the US. I really encourage you to give it a try. And as Jake mentioned, we utilize our Colombian collab lot coffee, which is a fan favorite. It really is phenomenal. That comes from our friends from Unblended. And there's numerous farmers that had a hand in that. Sebastian Ramirez, Andres Cardona, and others. And so just a phenomenal testament to convenience and specialty coffee. If I may brag myself, I'm really proud of it, and I encourage y'all to give it a listen. To our listeners, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for helping us cultivate freedom.